Here's a mistake I see all the time: men treating dating like a numbers game and women wanting to feel like they're the only one. Now, I get it. As a guy, dating can be pretty tough. You may need to swipe through a lot of profiles, send a lot of messages, approach a lot of women in real life just to get those important first few dates in the bag. However, to a woman, if she feels like you're just throwing so much mud against the wall, hoping something sticks, and she's the thing that's stuck, that feels deeply unrewarding to her. Most women would even be surprised to know that if you walked into a busy bar, that you may see several women you'd be quite happy to go on a date with. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you a core principle of attraction that is super important for her to feel excited about getting to know you, which is the principle that she needs to feel chosen by you. She needs to feel special. And any behaviors that you take which contradict this, immediately ding attraction. So as a guy, you might feel like you need to do a huge amount of legwork in the early phases just to get those precious couple of dates in the bag. For women, they've kind of got the opposite problem. They do have a lot of choice, but they don't want any of the choices that they have. The big thing that they're constantly thinking about with dating is, how do I select better? And for guys, it's often, how do I impress her so I'm the one she selects? When you do meet a woman who is your physical type and who seems nice and has some of the qualities you want, it can be like, yes, 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 let's go. For women, this approach to dating really doesn't resonate. She needs to feel like you've more deeply engaged with who she is as a person and that you've had a two-way connection which justifies that pursuit from you. That's why if you're messaging a woman on a dating app and she's giving you kind of lousy responses, but you keep trying to impress her and you keep trying to ask her out, why her attraction just goes down and down and down. What you're really showing her is, hey, it doesn't matter what you contribute, I'm interested anyway. Instead, you want to show exactly the opposite, that you're a guy who has choice, who has standards, but there's something about her beyond her physical appearance which is making you excited to get to know her better. If you've just been messaging a woman online or you've only had a couple of dates with her, time to keep your feet radically on the ground and not express too much excitement or interest in her too early on. While she might be ticking a lot of strong boxes for you, her attraction has barely got started. So if you come on really strong in these early stages, it's going to feel jarring to her and she'll feel like, wow, I haven't actually done anything and this guy is really choosing me. This will be translated to her as a feeling of pressure, that she can't match your level of interest. And if she feels like she can't match your level of interest, guess what she'll do? She will withdraw from the process altogether. Even if there was a possibility of a connection, it will get short-circuited and you'll be hit with a message in the early stages of dating that she's just not feeling that connection. You need to start valuing her personality and effort levels, not just her looks. A really good exercise to do this is, aside from anything physical, I want you to write down what you need from her as a partner. Those qualities shouldn't just be, for instance, that she's smart or fun. Those qualities should also include how she contributes to the relationship. For example, you would need a woman who is responsive and who is making time at least once a week to see you in person to really build your connection. Without these relationship building qualities, it doesn't really matter how attractive or smart or fun she is, you're not going to move past square one. So you need to start praising women, not just in terms of that initial attraction and personal connection, but also how they show up for you as a relationship partner. A good date is certainly not one where you agree on everything, and in fact, if she senses you're editing your personality, again, this just screams of a guy who needs the outcome, who really wants something from her, rather than the guy who's got loads of choice and is actively choosing her through how she shows up. Don't be afraid to say that her favorite band sucks, or to tell her that her last holiday destination, you wouldn't set foot there. It's important that you retain your own opinions and perspective, share them freely on your dates, because this is dating compatibility and chemistry is not a game of snap, and she's actually going to have more respect for you if you share your true opinions on things with candor versus editing your personality to try and fit in with her. she needs to feel chosen, and you also need to get into the mindset of the selector, which is a guy who knows he has choice, who knows there's women in the world he can meet, and is choosing to pursue this woman specifically because of how she's shown up in the dating process. The easiest way for you to communicate this to her is simply every time before you take another step with her, you tell her the specific reason why you're excited to take that step. For example, if you're going to ask for her number, say, you know what, you've actually been the most interesting person I've spoken to this evening. Let me take your number. If you're on date 1 and you want to shoot for date 2, be the guy who's comfortable to say, you know what, I know we've had our points here of disagreement, but I've enjoyed the debate. I'd like to see you again. By clearly flagging a reason which is compelling you to move the relationship forwards, it will help her to feel chosen and for her to know she's with a guy who is selecting from a position of choice and abundance. This is about 10,000 times more attractive from being the guy that plays the numbers game, who throws mud against a wall hoping it will stick.